Friday the 13th of January 2006, Acasuso, one of the wealthiest suburbs of Buenos Aires. Around 7 in the evening, after nearly 7 hours of standoff, police finally stormed the Banco Río branch on the corner. 300 officers, snipers on the rooftops. A trained negotiator who has spent the entire afternoon on the phone with the hostage takers inside. They burst in ready for a gunfight. Instead, they find 23 hostages, shaken but completely unharmed. They find the robbers' guns, laid out neatly. Every one of them is a toy, and they find a note, a little rhyme left behind in the vault room. It says, "In a neighborhood of the rich, without weapons or grudges, it's only money, not love. The robbers are gone. They have been gone for hours, along with somewhere around $19 million. And the police were standing outside the entire time, watching. This is the one they call the robbery of the century. And the genius of it wasn't the tunnel. It was the show." Start with the problem every bank robber faces. It isn't the vault, and it isn't the guards, it's time. The moment anyone trips an alarm, a clock starts, and the police are minutes away. You can force your way in, plenty of crews have. Getting out is where nearly every bank robbery in history falls apart. The building becomes a trap with your name on it. Fernando Araujo understood this. He wasn't a career bank robber. He was a 36-year-old artist and martial arts teacher from the neighborhood. And where every other crew asked, "How do we get away before the police arrive?" Araujo asked something much stranger. What if we don't get away before they arrive? What if we let them come? Think about what a hostage siege actually does. It freezes everything. Nobody storms the building while negotiations are alive, not with civilians inside. The police organize themselves around one single assumption. The robbers are trapped in there, and eventually they'll have to come out the front. A siege doesn't shrink your time inside the bank. A siege buys you unlimited time, as long as you have another way out. That other way out was already there, drawn on the city's own utility maps. A major storm drain runs beneath the streets of Acasuso, down toward the river, and it passes close to the bank. Araujo reportedly began planning in September of 2004, more than a year before the robbery. The story goes he even nicknamed the plan after Donatello, the Ninja Turtle who was an artist and lived in the sewers. For months, the crew explored that drain and dug where it mattered. A tunnel roughly 18 meters long, angling up from the drain into the bank's basement, into the room that held the safe deposit boxes. They stopped just short of breaking through, and they waited. The engineering came from Sebastian Garcia Bolster, a motorcycle mechanic the crew called the Engineer. He reportedly built them a hydraulic tool they nicknamed La Poderosa, the powerful one, designed to pop open a safe deposit box in seconds, quietly, no explosives. And for the exit, he solved a problem no one else would even think of. The drain didn't hold enough water to float a getaway. So according to investigators, the crew built a dam inside it, raised the water level by hand, and prepared inflatable boats with motors modified to run near silent. They weren't going to run from the bank. They were going to sail out of it, underneath the police. Friday, January 13th, just after midday. 5 members of the crew walk into the bank and announce a robbery. Within minutes, the alarm does exactly what alarms do, and that was the point. Police flood the street, snipers take the rooftops, the siege begins. Everything now depends on one man, Luis Mario Vitet Selanes, a Uruguayan career criminal in a grey suit, the crew's actor. On the phone with police negotiator Miguel Sileo, Vitet performs a masterpiece of stalling. He plays the reasonable hostage taker. He releases the bank's security guard as a gesture of good faith. He negotiates, stalls, circles back, asks again. Every exchange is theater with one purpose, to keep the men outside believing that progress is being made. Because one floor below, the rest of the crew is working. With La Poderosa, they crack open more than 140 safe deposit boxes, one after another, cash, jewelry, things people never declared to anyone. The haul has been officially estimated at around $19 million, but here's the truth, nobody knows. Safe deposit boxes are secret by design. Some investigators always believed it was more. At around 4:30, Vitet makes one last request. food and drinks for the hostages. The police agree. It reads as the negotiations settling in for a long night. It wasn't. It was the exit queue. The crew moves the loot down through the hole in the basement floor, the one the police don't know exists, and follows it, one by one, into the drain. Behind them, they leave the toy guns arranged for the cameras. They leave fake jewelry. They leave the rhyme. Without weapons or grudges, it's only money, not love. Below the street, the dam has done its work. The boats are floating. The crew pushes off and glides through the dark, reportedly around 10 blocks under the neighborhood, while above their heads, 300 officers watch a silent building. They surface through a manhole where a van is waiting and they're gone. No squealing tires, no chase. They simply stopped existing. Outside, the phone has gone quiet. For 2 hours, the police wait, and the silence stretches, and finally, around 7, they storm the building and walk into the punchline. Hostages, toys, a poem. Argentina had just watched the largest bank robbery in its history happen live on television, and the robbery had been over for hours. The Dunbar crew beat cameras. The Fortaleza crew beat walls. This crew beat the response itself. They turned the entire security apparatus into their alibi. It was, by any technical measure, a perfect crime. And then it met the same enemy every perfect crime meets. The investigation went nowhere. There were no fingerprints worth anything, no real weapons, no faces. The tunnel, the dam, the boats. Investigators reconstructed how it was done, but not who had done it. Weeks passed, and then the case broke, the way these cases so often break, not through forensics, through people. One of the 5 men inside the bank was Ruben Alberto de la Torre, and his partner Alicia Di Tullio was furious with him. Over betrayal, over money, accounts differ. What matters is that about a month after the robbery, she walked into a prosecutor's office and started naming names. She knew everything. De la Torre was arrested with roughly $700,000 still on him. Garcia Bolster, the engineer, was picked up at the seaside and reportedly confessed almost immediately. Vitet, the man in the grey suit, was tracked down and eventually gave himself up. And in April 2006, gendarmes found Fernando Araujo himself, holed up in the mountains of San Juan. The perfect crime lasted in the end about 3 months. It's the same lesson our first 2 stories taught. The Dunbar insider was undone by a friend and a strap of bills. The Fortaleza diggers were undone by how they spent. And the Acasuso crew, the cleverest of them all, were undone by a marriage gone wrong. The vault is never the weak point. People are. The trial didn't come until 2010, 4 years later. The sentences ranged from 9 to 15 years, and through appeals and reductions, within a few years every one of them was out. Vitet runs a jewelry shop in Uruguay. Garcia Bolster went back to fixing engines. Araujo works in film. In 2020, their story became one of the biggest Argentine movies ever made. They are today celebrities. And the money? Of the roughly $19 million that went down that hole, investigators recovered about $1.5 million. The rest, more than 90% of the haul, has never been found. Somewhere, most of the robbery of the century is still out there. 3 stories, 3 answers to the same impossible problem. Dunbar, be trusted and betray the trust. Fortaleza, ignore the door and take the floor. Acasuso, don't escape the police at all, hand them a robbery to watch, while the real one happens somewhere they can't see. The vault was never really the puzzle. The puzzle was always what people expect, and the Masterplan is whatever they don't. Next week, a vault 2 floors underground, protected by 10 layers of security, heat sensors, radar, a lock with 100 million combinations. One weekend, every single layer failed at once, and to this day no one can fully explain how. Subscribe, and I'll see you then.